All right, is this recording? All right, welcome people. I think this is solo episode number 9, maybe. Maybe it's number 8. No, I think I've done number 8. Number 9 or 10, who knows? These solo episodes have been a lot of fun. Like I've said to you guys a couple times, they're pretty cathartic and lets me get a lot out. And I definitely feel like I get a little bit pressured up when I don't get to do one. But I've just been having a lot going on lately and just haven't been able to squeeze one in. And I'll tell you guys that whole story, but then I was finally starting my holidays, driving out to BC, and had all this time in the truck to myself yesterday, and I was thinking, fuck, I probably could have recorded a pod. So we stopped in Kamloops yesterday, and I got out my Zoom recorder and one mic and a set of headphones here, and I'm going to try it. We're just heading from Kamloops to Vancouver here, so if you hear me get arrested, pulled over, crash, I don't know. This shit could get exciting in a hurry. We are not quite sure, but we're doing it live. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. It might turn out like shit. The dog might start barking in the back. You can probably hear her cage rattling around, but yeah, it's been quite a few weeks. I've been, I'm always honest with you guys about how I'm doing, and I always try and kind of cage it in positivity because I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I have such an amazing life and so many good things and so many good people, but been having a bit of a tough go the last few months, to be honest, and it just kind of came to a head there last week. I've just been so down. I'm just really unhappy with a lot of things right now, and really happy with a few others, but the things that are making me unhappy are kind of taking up all the juice and everything I got within me, all my willpower, all my gumption to get out of bed, and it's leaving me pretty depressed. I feel odd talking about depression because it's so new to me. I don't really have much experience with it. I think or I shouldn't say that. Less experience once I recognize what it was. I'm sure I've had this for a long time, but it's never been this long and it's never gotten to this point, and I've never had to feel it like this. And leading up to a couple weeks ago, I had so many things coming up. I had a weekend in the city with Chase. He was getting his house, and then the next weekend we're up in Slave Lake for a golf tournament, and then that Sunday my in-laws were in town that Sunday right after, and then a couple nights with them, and onto the road to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver back to Penticton for my sister's wedding, and then some holiday time. But just I was so depressed, and I could barely get out of bed, and just doing anything was a struggle. And I knew I had to get all this stuff ready for the wedding and for the tournament, and I was just dropping everything and then work on top of that. I just couldn't do anything, and I was just really getting to the point, and then I had my first panic attack, and I thought, holy shit, like, I think I'm having a panic attack, and I kind of recognized it and breathed through it and kind of did some meditation, and it didn't help, or it helped a bit, but I think what I just did was prevent it from spiraling, because this is what I always hear of people with panic attacks is kind of they get so scared of it, or they think it's a heart attack and they ramp themselves out and they hyperventilate and it just gets worse. So I kind of got through that. That was a couple weeks ago, I think. I think that might have been the when I got home the Sunday after that trip to the city to move Chase into his new place, and then got through that, and got through another week of work, and wasn't doing too well. So it was probably the lowest point I've been at, where I just didn't even want to go to the tournament. I didn't want to leave. Honestly did not want to get out of bed. And it's a weird feeling. You can't think straight. It's like there's this fog in your mind. You can't even put thoughts together. You're trying to sit there at work and solve these big problems. It's like, I can't even fucking spell my own name right now. What do you expect out of me? And like, oh, it's just so frustrating. And then everyone's, oh, are you getting this for the wedding, this for the wedding? And it's like, fuck, guys, like, I can't explain this to you, but I can't do anything. And it's the worst feeling, because my brain is my superpower, right? Like I've never been all that, athletic or skilled. I mean, mediocrely, I guess, at best, but my brain was always my power. And now with this, that's what it's affected. And it's such a terrible feeling to be able to not think, because thinking is what I do. And that's what I make my bones, like at work and this podcast and talking. And yeah, it was a pretty scary time. It still is. I'm not through it. I'm still pretty in the thick of it right now. I mean, I'm getting closer. I'm just looking forward to that Penticton air, that place that was my favorite place since I was, 3 years old. Like, I just can't wait to get there and relax and that. But it's just been a lot to get through, and I want to be honest with you guys about what it feels like, because I listen to podcasts on depression, hear people talk about it, but it's just one thing to hear it and another thing to feel it, and just Man, it sucks, guys. It is awful. And these panic attacks. Oh, yeah. So then we're leading up. I'll just take you guys through it. So I was planning on coming up Wednesday after work and doing a bunch of podcasts while I was in Slave Lake, because I know I had so many people that I'd like to podcast with. And I was just so depressed. I couldn't plan anything out. And then something came up with work. I had to do this audit thing. So I had to stay Thursday. So I was going up Thursday night. And I had one podcast, but like through it all, I knew I had no energy in me to try and line up podcasts. And I tried a couple people, it didn't work. And I just couldn't really get myself out of first gear to do it. But I ended up lining one up with Hunter Moellem. He's an artist out of Slave Lake. He makes some really awesome music, and he's a really good kid. I really like his family, his parents, and ended up having a great conversation with his parents at the golf tournament. It was just a lot of positivity. So it wasn't all bad, but went up Thursday, set up the equipment, did a really great podcast with him, and that's the thing. I can kind of snap into it. I meditate before the podcast, and I kind of throw everything at it. Probably wasn't my best work. I wasn't in the best headspace for it, but I still think it came out all right. But then, after that, just right to bed. No fun stuff. And I mean, my girlfriend's been great. She's been very supportive throughout this whole thing. So we just kind of, hung out, watched a movie, laid in bed with the dog, and just kind of, brought the dog down to the beach. That was tons of fun. Watched a little Ahsoka rip around on that sand and get sticks. And man, and this has got to be the highlight of the whole thing, of no matter how many bad things are going on, having this little dog that is just the cutest, smartest little thing. I can't even explain to you guys how perfect this dog is. Like, it almost doesn't even make sense. It was like, the universe sent her specifically for me, knowing what I'd be going through these last couple of weeks. And I mean, sure, the dog added her own stresses and still adds her own stresses. I think I almost strangled her last night at about midnight when I was dead tired because I didn't sleep a wink before we started driving that trip to Kamloops, and she wouldn't pee. Anyways, so that was Thursday night in Slave, went down to the beach, and then Friday woke up, just not good. Lowest point of the depression, just didn't want to do anything. All my buddies are texting me, Drew, who's been on the podcast, hey, what's up, let's go for lunch and stuff. And you know what, I was on it. I hate talking about it. I feel so weak, and I know it's silly to say that because I talk about people, I say all the time, don't think of it as weakness, and then I do the same thing, and I think of it that way and don't want to tell people. But you know what, I told a couple of people. I told Drew, and he was trying to get me to come out, and I said, I'm not doing too good, man. I'm pretty depressed. I just really don't feel like it. And he said, well, I'll come over. I'll bring you lunch and stuff. And I just, no, I can't. I just want to be by myself. I just got nothing for you. And it wasn't that I didn't want to see him. I wanted to see all these people. But same thing. And then same with Travis Malbuff, who's also been on the podcast and is a new father. And, kind of just told him, like, just, not feeling too good, pretty depressed kind of thing. And, again, they just jump right to it, both guys. That's the thing. You never want to say something, but then you do. You mention it to one person and they come through. Fuck, holy shit, this is almost making me tear up to think about. Jeez. And then Travis, same thing. Hey, what can I do? Anything kind of thing. And I just said no. And then later that day, Trav texted me and just said, you know what? No worries if you don't, but we got the baby here at Dog Island. My mom's up, the family's here. We'd really love to see you. No pressure, of course. And the one thing that can break me out of a funk, or at least force me to put a brave face on, is a baby, because I love kids and I love babies and they love me. And I was so excited to meet Travis and Jamie's kid. I've known them both since I was just a small child, like especially Jamie. And then since Trav moved to Slave, we've been thick as thieves, and to see what they brought into the world, and just such a perfect little kid. So, threw on the clothes, went over to Dog Island, and had a couple beers with them, held the baby for probably an hour, and just such a good kid, and so cute and so perfect. And it was just one after another of old friends walking into the brewery, having a beer with these guys, saying hi. And it was just so much fun to do, and ended up drinking like probably 6 beers there, got pretty pickled up. Eventually Alyssa ran back and got the dog, and we brought her to Dog Island, had her out on the patio, and we're really enjoying our time. Then we went out to the Discovers, Drew's parents' place, and had a few more drinks out there. Trav and Jamie brought the baby out, and they got to introduce her to all the parents out there, all the mums and dads, and it was just a great time and a great night. I ended up getting pretty pickled up eventually. So this is Friday night, and then the next morning's the golf, and we golf at 9 o'clock maybe, or 8:30, whatever it was. I can't even remember now. It was early. It was a 7:15 pickup time. That was supposed to be. So I don't know what time we got home and what time we went to bed, but I woke up at probably 5 a.m, and I was a mess. I was puking and I was just feeling sick and hungover because I don't drink that much, right? And then just going out on a night like that, I was just not prepared for what it was. So I'm sitting there at 5 a.m. just feeling like shit, trying to go back to bed, have to keep getting up and puking. So it's probably 6:30 at this point. I just go put the shower on and just sit on my ass in the shower and just think about all the decisions I made. Like just I don't know if that's the actual thing I was doing, but I was just sitting there trying to recover. Anyway, 7:15 rolls around. They didn't show. Apparently they kept drinking till like 3 a.m. So they're in even rougher shape than I was. Eventually we got out there and we were running a hole as well. So we're had to go do some setup, get the barbecue going. We had the Dog Island beer and hamburger hole. So we had to get the barbecue set up, see everybody. Everyone's still kind of either half cut from the night before or in pretty rough shape. Start off, and we just had a time. Like, it was so much fun. Just like I was mentioning the night before with Dog Island, just seeing all these people you haven't seen in years, and just what a great experience it is, and how much you miss them, and just you forget what all goes into making that such an amazing community. It's such a great event. I guess could talk to you guys about what the golf tournament's for. It's the Lukan Ames Memorial Tournament. Two really special young men to the community that we lost over the last couple of years. One in a Humboldt crash, and another in a tragic accident in the city there. And it just really brings out the best in the community. I mean, a little bit of the sloppiness in the community too, but I think that's also what makes us the best, is we can tie one on like that and really, come together like that. And it was just such an amazing tournament. They had pictures of the boys all over, and it was so nice to see. And just, I really had an amazing time at it, and we drank all day. It took me probably till about noon to try and get any liquor in me. The assholes iced me on one of the holes just when I was feeling good. I just got my first burger in me, and I said, this is what I need, just a burger to settle my stomach, and I'll start drinking. I just got to find a Caesar and I'll be good. And they weren't serving Caesars because there was a Caesar hole, so nobody else on the course could serve Caesars. It's bullshit. And just the way it was a shotgun start, so we started on our hole, which was 11, and I think the Caesar hole was like 9 or 10 or something. So we got it right at the end of our round where I wanted it right there. But anyways, so I finally get this burger and I'm feeling good. I was telling everybody, I was at about 5% operating. That burger brought me right up to 10, and I'm ready to start drinking. And then they iced me. I'm like, fuck. Well, now I'm right back down to 5 because I felt like shit. But that ice hit me and I felt pretty good actually, and started the ball rolling, and we kept going till I don't know what time that night. We saw so many people, had such a good time. We drank our faces off and reconnected, told some stories, and saw some people we hadn't seen. It was a really great time. I really, really enjoyed it, and had a great night. We ended up at Dom's pub there for a few drinks, and I was having a ton of fun, but I was just so tired from not sleeping the night before that I didn't want to leave, but I was falling asleep standing up, so I had to get Alyssa to drive me home, and then woke up the next day, and that's kind of when it all hit me again of, I was from being depressed out of my skull, like worst place I've ever been on Friday, to having, a great Friday night, a great Saturday night, come back Sunday, and you're kind of riding that, and you don't know what you're going to come out of. Like, did that fix me up? Am I feeling even better? But you're also hungover as shit, and you're just trying to get everything packed up, and it took a while. And then meanwhile, my in-laws are driving up to GP at the same time, so we got to get all our shit together and get back to the house to meet them. They're driving in from Winnipeg. So, it was, I was okay for the drive. Alyssa, thank God, drove us back to GP that day, allowed me to kind of work on the podcast, get it ready for release on Monday, and that sort of thing, which was a bit of work. And probably if you guys heard the intro for that episode, you'll hear kind of just how fried my brain was there, because you take the depression fog and all that, and then you slap a hangover on top of that, and my brain just wouldn't work. And then the panic attacks came back. And when I talked about that first one where I kind of, breathed my way through it, this was something different, and they didn't stop for days, like that Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, it's Thursday now, and Wednesday, yesterday doing that drive from Grand Prairie to Kamloops, I just got Alyssa to hop in with her parents and just give me some alone time to listen to my podcast and think and breathe, and it felt awesome. I really needed that, and I think that was the first time since that Sunday that the panic attacks actually stopped, and again, like I recognize what it is and I just breathe through them, and it's more of an annoyance that I can't get it to go away than it is that I'm freaking out and ramping it up and really spiraling into what maybe some other people who have experienced panic or anxiety attacks. I think the big difference is that first one, because what you always hear with people with anxiety attacks, the first one, they don't recognize that they spiral so hard, and then every time they hit that feeling again, their body remembers that first time where it just takes you into this deep, deep waters of you can't breathe and you don't know what's going on. Am I having a heart attack kind of thing? And I think because I never had that big, scary first experience, my body doesn't react as bad. It's more like, oh, this is going to be really annoying. Like, I can't breathe. I'm sweating. I'm doing all this stuff. You know, like, don't get me wrong. It still fucking sucks. And I would not wish it on anybody, but I'm being thankful that all these podcasts I listen to and all these mental health things I listen to prepared me for that. And I think that's really special because I think that's a change. I think so many people don't even know what panic attacks are really, or never really truly heard somebody talk about them in depth. So when it happens to them, they don't know what the fuck's going on, right? And I think that's just a very powerful thing to know that, you know, the message is being spread. You know, everybody hears the word, you know, break the stigma kind of all over, and it almost doesn't even have meaning because you hear it so much, but it is happening. And I think that's something to hang our hats on. So that's a positive thing right there that you can, or that I can take, I guess. You guys don't need to take it. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. So that's kind of what's been going on with me these last couple weeks. That on top of a bunch of other things, you know, like I'm really getting to the point where I have so many ideas for the podcast and these spinoffs I want to do with it, and I just have zero time to do it. And with it getting to that point of getting that bad, I really put my foot down with a couple people and just said, like, hey, I'm making big changes here in the near future, and they're gonna have to stick, and not everybody's gonna like them, and I got to do what's right for me. You know, I've been just sacrificing myself for other people and other you know, entities and things, right, to make sure that they're okay. But it's past that point now, and I got to do something for me. So had that conversation, and we'll see what comes of that. And I'm excited to, you know, have those conversations and get to that point. And now, you know, I think so much of it was the fear of just getting to of just being able to say that. But now it's just, I've seen the other side of it, and I'm so past the point of giving a fuck about other people now, and I just need to do what's right for me. So I'm less scared of it. I've been trying to do this for months, guys, and just it never comes together. I've been trying to give myself a little bit more, take a step back, you know, do a little thing for myself, and it just hasn't worked. It's gotten, if not worse, you know, at least stayed the same, and that's been really frustrating. And it's very lonely to feel that, of just like, hey, I'm screaming for help here, and nobody's putting a hand out, and you know what? Eventually, you just got to say, "Fuck you guys! I'm throwing a grappling hook and I'm calling myself out of this bitch. Fuck everybody," kind of thing, you know. And it's maybe not the healthiest way to look at it, but you know, whatever. I don't care at this point. I'm so over all that other shit, and I'm so passionate about what I'm about to do and how successful I'm going to be and what I'm going to turn this into. That why waste time pissing around and second guessing yourself and questioning, letting other people make you question yourself? That's the biggest thing. I don't question myself a lot, right? I have a lot of belief. And I think that's important, if not the most important thing. The only times you question is when other people make you question yourself, and that should never happen. And I kick myself every time I let somebody do it to me, of just questioning what I have and my abilities, because I know nobody knows what I have in the tank but me. You know, you guys might get glimpses of it here and there, you know, when I'm really in that flow state and talking on the podcast, but you know, like I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of. And I think that's what's frustrating when I'm talking to everybody about what's going on and how unhappy I am with some things happen. They say, well, you're doing so much. Look what you've done with the podcast. Look what you've done here. Look what you've done there. And it's like, yeah, but none of that's for me. I agree with all you guys, but you don't know what I'm comparing it to, and kind of in my head of what I'm envisioning. So where was I going with all that? I don't know. I'm just, I just want to, just update you guys on where I'm at, and more than anything, just get this off my chest. For some reason, just when I can speak it into a microphone, it just lifts it off my shoulders, and it feels so much better just to get it off and to not, I think it's, part of it is just having to put on that face and go into work every day and pretend that you're not fucking holding yourself together with duct tape and fucking silly string. Like it's ridiculous. And I hate that feeling. And just to put it out here and, like, whatever, like, I don't really care. I don't care who knows all this stuff. I'm so open, but the fact that I'm forced to hide giant pieces of myself and who I am for silly reasons, that in the grand scheme of thing, in a couple of years, I'm going to look on and go, why the fuck didn't I start this earlier and just dive in head first? Like, why are you not giving everything you have to this if you know that's what you want to chase. And just every day that goes by that I'm not, it pulls another little piece of my soul away, right? And that's what but that's where I'm at, that realization where no, these next couple months I'm making moves and I'm making it happen, and I don't care who hears it or who knows it. That's what I want, and that's what I'm chasing. And that's kind of the thing that I think is helping me. I think that's going to be the thing that helps me get out of this and helps me get to a happier point, start doing things for me and start doing things that I enjoy. And then just get into a better mental place. And then I'll have more to offer to all these people that are trying to take so much from me right now, but I got nothing to offer. And it's like, fuck, I'm trying to tell you guys, let me back off and recover, and then I'll have something to give you. But I'm just sitting here. You're wringing out a fucking, there's no more juice in this lime. Like, you got to fucking give it a chance to regrow here or whatever. That was a terrible analogy. Limes don't regrow once you squeeze them, but you know what I meant. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with me. Another big stressor has been the whole COVID thing. With the information that I've been following, I've been doing tons of research into this and looking into all these things, and there's some real fuck shit going on that people need to ask about. And it's not magnets, and it's not 5G, and it's not Bill Gates. That's all bullshit. But there is some, and people are just pointing to that because that disqualifies all these people that are actually doing research and listening to real doctors and have some questions that need to be answered. And I hate it. And it puts me in a rough spot where now there's all these things that are, vaccine mandates and all that. And, it just sucks. And then to have my, that episode I did on this subject a couple months back that has been proven really correct on a lot of points from that time since then. The lab leak stuff that was nobody was even giving that the time of day when I recorded that episode. And I said, no, that is what this is. I've been saying it for over a year now, and then they finally come to it and they remove that as misinformation. They give me a copyright strike, or not whatever strike it's called on YouTube, and you only get 3 of them. So I could get kicked off YouTube. That's great. Like, that feels awesome. I love knowing that, eventually, if I want to do this, I want to make money on YouTube. Like, that's going to be my employer, and that's how they treat people. Like, no, it's good to see where the capture is. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to get into all that kind of on this episode. I think there's going to be times where I get the right person on where we can kind of really dive into this. I just feel bad for other people because now, like my girlfriend, she listens to all the same stuff and is, armed with the same information as I am, but not as in depth. So it's harder to combat that and bring it up in an argument when somebody's, calling her names or saying that she's a bad person for not getting vaccinated. And I can pull all this stuff up. If somebody wants to have that argument, nobody does ever with me because they don't want to have that argument because I'll fucking walk all over you. I mean, not that I would. I'm always polite. You guys know that. I'd never do that to somebody unless they were being rude to me. I'm very polite, but we'd have a really good conversation at it. But I don't think people want to have that conversation. I have some real smart people that have done some wildly crazy things to avoid this conversation. And I'm telling them, I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to do that. Like, let's just have a conversation, and they will just avoid it. And they're intelligent, smart people. That's why this is so painful to watch, is it captures everybody. And, yeah, it's been tough though. Like, that's another thing that's just added on to all this stress and wanting to take up that mantle and to fight for people. But I just don't have enough to fight for others when I'm trying to fight for myself right now. And it all kind of comes together at the same time, right? That's all more or less the same thing. But yeah, I don't know. That's been dragging on me. And I'm excited to have that conversation again with somebody that I can really lay it all out over a long term and kind of show all the things, with ivermectin and why I believe in it, and the studies and the science, and that people are throwing out, oh, there's no science. Yes, there is. There's like fucking 40 studies already, and there's more coming out every day, and they're all saying the same thing. And then there's one study that has some fuckery with it, and everything, they write a whole article on this one study that a guy like it, and it's not. So then you take that study out of the meta-analysis, and it changes nothing. It shows just the same effect. But these people are so locked in on doing everything but vaccines because they want nobody to question vaccines, because there's some real questions to be asked, but they can't be asked because there's a lot of money at stake and a lot of people's reputations at stake and a lot of politicians that have really backed themselves into this corner. And it's unfortunate. Like, I'd get vaccinated tomorrow if they were starting to be honest about what the risks are. And if they could do that, I would do it tomorrow. I have no problem. I was honestly, before I found out the latest information, which really scares me because I was probably a couple of weeks away from the only thing keeping me from getting vaccinated was my my own laziness of just not wanting to go and get it done, right? But I kind of weighed the risk, and I thought, you know what, like looking at it, I think they're lying about the risk, and I think there is much more risk, but even then, I don't think it's that bad, and I think I'll still do it, right? And then I can still argue the other side of like, no, I'm still not for vaccine mandates or anything. Like, I'm vaccinated too, because that would be a way easier place to argue this from. But now I'm on the unvaccinated side, and I'm this evil person, but it's no, you know, like, it's not, because I think there's magnets in it. I think there's some real things that need to be looked at, right? There's no long-term studies on this, and then the short-term effects. I've had probably half my staff had to take days off when they got their second dose, like, but then to say that there's zero risk, like, and these commercials on Canadian TV, how did we get these vaccines out so fast with 100% safety? Oh, we did all this, they're 100% safe. Like, why would you say that? Why can you not be honest? Do you not think that would suck more people in to say like, hey, no, there is some risk, and you know what, you're gonna have to take that, and if you get this vaccine, you're brave. You know, like, everybody's taking that on like, oh, I'm brave, I risked the vaccine. But no, you didn't know, because you were just eating up the shit of it's 100% safe at that time. If you would have been actually done some research, looked into it, seen that there is some risk you're taking on, and decided to still take it, fuck yeah, I applaud you. You're doing great, and I think you need a pat on the back. But nobody fucking did that, or it's very far and few between. Now they're just riding this train. And the other part of it too is, now, if you're vaccinated, you have a seriously compromised ability to look at this, because you are so much wanting this side to be right. I could still get vaccinated tomorrow if I find out that, you know, all this research, like all these studies I've been looking at are all bullshit, and it's all this big ploy, and that none of this is real, and no questions need to be asked. They are 100% safe, and all these adverse effects are people faking it to get time off and all that. If that comes out, I'll get vaccinated tomorrow. I have no dog in the race. I'm just saying. And like I said, I was about to get vaccinated before I, you know, really dug into it, because I was lazy and I wasn't doing the research. But then I heard some things that were really scary, and I started digging into it. And it doesn't mean that I don't take the disease seriously. I was one of the ones saying, you know, like, I was scared of this disease from the start, but for way different reasons than other people. I was scared of it because it came from a lab. It was fucked with. You don't know what that is. This spike protein thing, the way it attacks all these different mechanisms of the body, long COVID, long-term effects. This could take years off your life if you get it. People don't realize that. Like, it's probably not going to kill you. You're probably going to be fine, but I would definitely not like to get it. So I'd like to be protected, right? But now I have to weigh that risk of all those risks against the risk of the vaccine, and it's about coming out equal. But there's that fucking ivermectin. Like, why would someone that's in that position where I'm not all that scared, like, I am scared of this disease because of all those things I just mentioned, and I am slightly scared of this vaccine just because of the uncertainty of it. We have no idea. Like, we don't know long term what it's going to do, and I think that that's okay to admit, and I think that's should be talked about, because I think that's what is brave about taking it, is we don't know. We had 9 months of study before we could bring it out, right? And not only the vaccine, but the vaccine technology. This is a new technology. That's what was worrying me, right? This is a whole new technology that we don't have any long-term testing for. It's all experimental, which is great. And I think people had to do it. And I think that's what was going to get things open. And you need that. But also, and then here's the other part of what I don't like about the vaccines, is they keep saying that these variants are being caused by the unvaccinated and all this. And no, like, maybe, for sure, like that is definitely a possibility. But do you think it also could be the selective pressure of having about 4 or 5 vaccines that all work off this one L1 receptor that all blocks this one thing, and now you have all these vaccinated people that this virus only needs to find one small change, just change that receptor, and now it can pass all these vaccines and they don't work, right? Like, that is just, I would say, much more likely that is causing some of the there's going to be variants that evolve to get away from the vaccines, right? Like, there's 6 years ago, there was this really good study done about preventative measures that don't prevent spread, right? And obviously, the vaccines do prevent spread in some way, because they lessen the reaction. If you do have a breakthrough case, usually it's less bad. And what we've talked about on this podcast before, viral load is important. And if you get less viral load, you're going to be in a better place, and it's going to be harder to spread it. So that lessens the spread. It does help you stop getting it in some cases, right? It does protect you, so that's stopping spread. But if it doesn't stop spread completely, you now are creating a perfect environment for the thing to mutate, right? And I can't hear that discussed anywhere but the Dark Horse podcast. That's the only place you'll hear that discussed, which blows my mind. And not to say that is what's causing it, right? It very well could be the unvaccinated, but why can we not have this discussion about, like, there's 2 options on the table, right? And bring that out to everybody. Why can we not even discuss it? You just have to follow the status quo, and the censorship that's coming out to stop these discussions from being had is dangerous, and people need to speak up. This is scary times, guys. The authoritarianism that's coming out, and the power we're giving to the government. And like I've said a million times, the government and the corporations are all one, and they all gain this power, right? You give more power to the government, you give more power to Amazon. You give more power to the government, you give more power to Walmart and all these people. This is what you're doing. And it's very scary. And we need to be cautious about what we're doing. We can't do nothing. This is not a fake disease. This is not like, which is what everyone will, that's the only counter argument to what I'm fighting for here, is that everyone saying that is just doesn't believe in this vaccine. They think it's a hoax. And no, that is not true. There are people that believe, like myself, that this is a very serious disease that was fucked with and we need to take serious. But I'm lost for words. I don't know how we got into this spot. I don't know how we've come this far out of the fold. And yeah, it's scary times. And you know, I would just love to be able to have just open conversations about this, and, you know, maybe get somebody on from the fucking government health agency, you know, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, come the fuck on the pod. Let's talk. Like, I got some questions for you. Some questions. And like, the fact that that can't be in a public forum where we can ask these questions and say, hey, why aren't you? You're supposed to be a government. You're supposed to work for us. Why are you shutting down conversation of things that we, like, the only thing that makes a government function is the ability for the people to question them. And that's being shut down. Do you know what happens the next step after that? Read a fucking book. Read about Russia. Read about China. Read about, you know, like Mao, Stalin, all these people. You know, Hitler, fuck, this is the first steps right now, is shutting these functions down of every questionability of the government function that you can have, and just shutting it down and censoring it and attacking free speech, burning books. You know, burning books might look different in 2021 in the internet age, but it's happening right in front of us. You know, like, it's worrying. It's worrying. And, you know what, and to say that, you know, like, ivermectin, I got my hands on some. I'm not going to tell you guys how, because, I'm not sure if it's even legal to get it. But I want to protect myself, right? Like, if I didn't believe this, you know, and there's some risk. There's some risk with ivermectin too, don't get me wrong. But also, it's been given 3.7 billion times. It's been around for 40 years. It's, you know, one of the World Health Organization's essential drugs for the world. It's won Nobel Prizes. Its safety and efficacy has been, you know, proven for 40 years. Sure, there's some side effects, right? But we know what they are, and we know long term. You know, there's people that have been studied that took it 40 years ago in huge doses. So I'm going to start taking that. And that's hopefully going to protect me. It might not protect me. Who knows? But at least I'm trying something short of the vaccine, right? And like I said, if they start being open and honest about the vaccine and start being transparent about what it is and what they're called, and the adverse effects and that the long-term risks are completely undefined and we have no idea. As soon as they start opening that up, I'd go get vaccinated tomorrow, right? All I want to see is some transparency to come with it, because I can't stand up and go do it, because I have the ability and I have the mental capacity to do all these gymnastics and to follow all this and to hold them accountable. And not a lot of people do. And I feel like that's my duty, is to do this to people and to send that signal. You know, like, I have a platform now. It might not be a big platform. There might not be too many people listening to this, but, you know, like, that is a duty. And I feel like that's important. So I'm just keeping you guys up to date on what I'm doing. And I'm not going to recommend it. This is just what I'm doing. If you're not worried, you know, if you go get vaccinated, probably nothing's going to happen, right? That second dose might put you on your ass for a couple of days, which really worries me because of the way that it attacks so many things. Like, when you get COVID, you have such a laundry list of things that can attack your brain, your heart, your lungs, your tissues, your feet. Like, it's everything. And that's the same thing with this, the vaccine. Adverse effects, of course, that seem to be going away after a couple of days, but not in all cases, right? There's also, you know, people have died, people have, you know, been seriously injured. This is, it's not nothing. And I just wish they would just say that, you know, it's not nothing. We really believe in the safety, and we really believe the importance of, needing to get these out, but you can't just say, and what everybody, lands on as their excuse not to is, oh, this is going to, increase vaccine hesitancy, and we're already in. You guys don't think that you caused it yourself? How can you say that, where you lie to people about the vaccines, or lie to people all the time about COVID, about masks, about the vaccine, about social distancing, about you know, it traveling in the air, all these things, and then you expect us to just believe you that you're being honest now, like, and then to blame other people that we don't believe. Like, it's just so silly. I don't even know how we got here, but we're here now, and this is all we can do, is just, if you're brave enough to stand up and say something, if you feel this way, if you don't feel, like, just respect everybody. If people don't feel this way, how can you blame them when they've had billions and trillions of dollars aimed at them to make them think this way, to say that this is the only option, this is the only way to think, anybody else is bad. How can you blame them if they don't go and do a little bit of research? But then on the same side, if they do, how can you blame them for having a couple questions when they've already been proven to have lied in a lot of key areas? So, that's kind of my message, is just regardless of what side people fall on, why are we demonizing them? Like, this is all a chance to make people the other, and it's scary. And that's, again, go back to any history book and you'll see that is the first step to a lot of bad things, this other, right? And separating people out. And it's been happening more and more. And now the next thing is this vaccinated versus unvaccinated. We're trying to make a two-tiered society of what that can do and what you're allowed to do. Oh, you can't come into the hospital. You're a second-tier citizen. Oh, you can't be safe from that. That is a very scary road to go down. We need to have respect for them. That is their choice, and it might not be a choice you agree with, but we're all people at the end of the day. We're not that different, you have to have that love and compassion for everybody, even if you disagree with their choices, and talk to them and try and find and ask questions. Be curious. This is what I don't get, is if somebody thinks differently than me, and as you guys have probably seen on this podcast, I am so curious just to ask them questions. Why do you think that way? Where does that come from and all this? But it seems like they're trying to demonize that, demonize asking questions, demonize, fraternizing with the other. And that just creates the other, I say fraternize with everybody. That's the only way we get through this. So I don't know how long I've been going. I don't even want to take my eyes off this road. This is a wild little highway to Vancouver here from Kamloops. I like it. Oh, we are going slow. We are going slow, people. What does that say? Why do they put the recording numbers in red? It's the hardest fucking color to read. Maybe if you're colorblind, maybe not. Well, I can't fucking read this. I have no idea how long I've been going. 36 minutes? Is that what that says? 36 minutes? It feels like I've been going for fucking 5 hours. It was only 36 minutes? Maybe it's an hour 36. No, it can't be. Anywho, okay, I guess I'll go a little longer. What else been going on in the world? The Olympics. Simone Biles. Oh man, that's kind of an interesting one. It's just, and again, the Simone Biles shit. This is where I'm coming from. I'm just, so many people have so many different takes. I don't really have too many takes, that's a really tough thing to do. She's, done some really amazing things. And, people say, regardless of what she's going through, people work hard, and, we shouldn't be, we shouldn't be tearing her down for it, but we shouldn't be celebrating it either. And I get that argument, and then the people that just say, you need to celebrate this. This is the mark of change. This is what we've been fighting for. This is breaking the stigma. And I agree with you too. But what I don't get is why people are so vehemently opposed to the other one, because all these arguments that I've seen thrown out, they all make a bit of sense, and nobody knows but her. And that's why I just say, hey, fuck, The Man in the Arena, that Teddy Roosevelt quote, that everybody should read. If you're not in that arena, you can't criticize, right? And that's where I go with all this stuff. And that's where I always look to, what are MMA fighters' takes on this? What are, somebody that's gone to the moon, what astronauts, people that have actually done something with their lives. I think we have a pandemic of people criticizing that don't fucking do fuck all. I know a couple people from university, one person in particular who I was trying to get on the pod, but I just think they don't do nothing. So they've done nothing with their life. They fucking I don't even want to say what they do, just on the off chance that they listen to this, but it's something equivalent to delivering newspapers as a 25-year-old person, right? And they sit all day on Facebook and just share all this left-wing, just attacking negativity of just all these just all day for years now, for since the pandemic started, just sitting there on Facebook, just sharing shit. And first of all, you're 25. Why are you on Facebook? Fucking share this evil on on TikTok or something. What are you doing? But then secondly, it's how he has so much criticism for all these people that he knows nothing about. And he has done nothing in his life. And it's man, I haven't done much either, to be fair, but I'm trying. I'm at least putting my neck out there, and I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to have something that I can stand on and make people, give some people reason to listen to me, right? Of actually have done something and achieve something. But man, it just blows my mind how many people out there are just sitting with their Cheeto fucking fingers and typing out a keyboard about people that have actually, are in the fight and trying to be brave about something, right? Man, people are just following the status quo and then attacking people that don't. But you did nothing. You literally sat there and you want to pat yourself on the back for just doing the bare minimum and just following the herd. that can't be celebrated. You shouldn't mock it either. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that's the problem with the other side, and what creates this disparity is people mock those guys and hate on them. But there's a lot to it. And then here's the other piece too, is life is so fucking hard. People have so many things going on. It's so much easier just to say, you know what? I don't know. They told me to get if I get vaccinated, I can travel. That's I've never heard somebody, I haven't heard one person yet say, I'm so excited about this vaccine. Oh no, that's a lie. All my university friends that came out are just posting and I'm so happy, I'm so lucky to get vaccinated, and just making like 17 Instagram posts about it and all this shit. But the majority of people that I've talked to that I respect are just like, you know what? I want to go see an Oiler game when it opens back up. I want to be able to travel. You know what? They just said, if I go get the shot, it's over and it's done, you know? And, then they usually say, but that fucking second shot kicked me on my ass and I had a headache and puked and shit. And I also know 2 different people that had heart attacks within a week of getting their vaccine. And I've talked to them about it. And, you know, I've said like the odds are it had nothing to do with it. You know, not even, you know, like there's probably a 95 chance that it was completely unrelated, but you can't discount that 5% or that 1% or whatever it is that it might have. And it's just worrying to me. Like, I just don't think we should be willy-nilly. And then also just, they could win so much public feedback to just say like, hey, there is some risk. So you know what? We're not going to give it to kids because they have these long-term risks are only more impactful to people that have longer to live, right? Like the long-term risks of 20, 30 years down the pipe for somebody that's 70, you know, 50, 20, 6, 7, 12, 14. Yeah. You're signing them up for a lot, right? So that's just added risk that we don't know. And if we can avoid it, if it doesn't affect them, maybe we can take one for the team and do that, right? And it's things like that of just making the consent, instead of being so gung-ho to just say, no, it's all or nothing. If you question anything, it's just everybody needs to be vaccinated, get all the jabs, get the boosters, get everything, and you question any of that, like just give a little bit and people will come. Like it's just watching these both sides give zero ground to the other when there's such easy ground to be given that would move us all forward and be a net positive. And everybody would be on board for it, but it's theater, it's politics, and it's theater that prevents the right calls from being made, which just breaks my heart. And I've talked a lot about politics and just how corrupt I think the whole thing is, and how tough it is to watch that, because it's disheartening to see that it doesn't matter who you vote for, conservative, liberal, NDP, they're all the same people, all owned by the same people, and they all make the same calls, right? And they're all playing this theater game, and they're all just stuck, and they just want to win, and that's what it is. It's, I just want to win. How do we win? Okay, you need all the money from these backers. Okay, what do they want to do? Okay, let's follow that game plan. And what is let's hop on Twitter and see what the worst people in society that are throwing garbage on Twitter, let's let them dictate policy. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. It worries me a bit. But what excites me is listening to someone who's been on the podcast a couple times, Ken Rutherford. Go back and listen to those episodes if you want to hear him. He's just such a great guy, family man. You know, thinks deeply about things, doesn't act out of emotion, and he's running for that Maverick Party, right? That Maverick Party, I don't really know much about it or whether it is, but I know a lot about Ken, and I know what type of person he is, and if he's getting on board with him, that is what we need. Somebody that's going to go in there that is, you know, I don't want to say uncorruptible, because I think that system's so powerful it can corrupt anybody, but I think a guy like Ken would back out before he let it happen, or would be transparent and open about it and talk about it with the people that hold him accountable, right? Because at the end of the day, if he was to do the same thing but run for a conservative seat there, it won't matter what he wants, because it's the Conservative Party that gets to tell you what the decisions are that need to be made. Those MPs are nothing. They're puppets. They just follow the party line of what it is because they want to win, and you need all those seats to win, right? So you have no actual effect on what you can change in your community. It's taken all accountability and what is supposed to be what is supposed to be there for what is, I'm trying to find the right way to say this, like, you're supposed to be able to make the calls so that you can be accountable. But when all the calls are taken away from you, you now have no accountability, because we can go to our conservative MP and go, why'd you do this? And go, well, no, that's what we had to do. That was what the party said, you know, like that. It was out of my control. So now there's no accountability structure. But with somebody like Ken there, where, you know, there's no big daddy conservative that's going to tell him what he can't do. He's just he's said it a million times, you know, I'm going to do whatever's best for Alberta and Saskatchewan. And, you know, if the Liberals want to come on board and make that, like if he wins a seat, of course, or if the Conservatives, whatever that is, I'm going to block anything that isn't good for Alberta and Saskatchewan, and I'm going to go for anything that is. And that's what they need. Very similar to the Bloc Québécois. And that is what it is. That's politics. I don't really care about that. But just the thought of a good, genuine person that's not a politician, that hates politics and vehemently understands the dangers of politics and what this is and wants to put his hat in the arena. I'm so proud. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I can't. I'm just in awe of what he's doing. You know, he's got a big family. He's got 6 kids. That is not a fun arena to go in because they don't want people like that. He's going to be the enemy. There's going to be a lot that comes at him, and he is aware of that, and he's willing to stand up and to put his family at risk for the good of the people. And nice dike. Sorry, that's a joke from Rat Race. Don't cancel me. You know, I just think we need more of that. And you know what? Like, I'm not in a position at 27 to go throw my hat in the political ring, and I think I've already talked so much shit about it here, about how much I hate it. I don't think I'd be welcome too much even if I tried. But I just think everybody needs to, if you can, right? Like, I would have no blame for Ken if he didn't, because he has so many reasons not to. And I think that's what makes it special that he is. And I can't wait to see if what kind of impact he can have, and I hope he can win, and I really do believe he can. But even if he doesn't, just the fact that it's been pushed to the point where people like Ken Rutherford are jumping in to pull the emergency shoot and say, hey, something's got to change here. We need some people fighting for the people, not for these big corporations or just for the game of politics, this fucking theater, you know, and people's lives are at stake here, you know, like that just fills me with so much hope and so much happiness to see that, and so much pride in my friend, you know, because I can call him a friend, and I'm proud of that. And I just love that, and I think that's what we're going to start to see more of. And I think this whole game is going to start to crumble if people just recognizing that, these 2 or 3 parties that are all owned by the same people and all make the same decision, or, you know, nobody is accountable to the people. Well, maybe we've got to try something else, right? And that's what I thought that Unity project was down in the States by Brett Weinstein, which is hilarious that him and his wife have been the only people of authority talking about things that need to be talked about. And before that, he was the only one during the Trump-Biden election that was raising the bell of, hey, neither of these guys are all that good. One's senile, one's a fucking dingbat, like nutso, you know, egotist, and we need something else. You know, like, he's been ahead on so many things, and he's still demonized. Like, I just don't, I do understand, but I don't understand how people can be so blind to it. It's so obvious what they're doing and why they're shutting down those voices, and why it would be at their best interest for him not to speak, because he's highlighting the rigged game. And that's the biggest thing of all this, through COVID, through the elections, through politics. It's all just highlighting that this is a rigged game we're playing, that nothing is going to change until we break that actual system and add accountability back in. And it's starting with the internet and podcasts and YouTube channels and streamers, because they are showing that, you know, well, they're trying everything they can do to censor those platforms and to make sure that they can get that iron grip they have on that, like they did on all the traditional media, right? Like they've got an iron grasp to make them say whatever they want from the both sides on the mainstream media, in the newspapers and all that. And now they're trying to do it on the internet, and that's what we got to fight back. That's the last bastion. If that goes, we're all fucked. See you later. The gulags are next, right? Like, I know that sounds aggressive and that sounds like I'm being grandiose, but it's not, right? Like, I'm telling you guys, read a history book. You'll see how closely this matches, right? Like, there's thousands, millions, billions of pieces of evidence of this. And yeah, I guess that's all I want people to know is just, you know, like, you gotta put a little bit in. If you got nothing to do, if you are busy and you are, you know, life is kicking you in the teeth and you got nothing left to give, and you just gotta, you know, keep your head down and just get through it, do that. But if you think that you have something in you to say something, if you feel like you have that bravery, if you feel like it's just, I've been silent for too long and I feel this, you got to say something. It's scary. Don't get me wrong. It's awful at times, you know, but it's also really positive at times where you get these messages from people saying, oh my God, I think this too. Like, oh, like I've just, but I can't say anything. Like, my whole family will disown me. You know, like, I tried to bring it up once and they all, like, that's a shit position to be in. And I know it. And I don't blame you for a second to have that fear. But what I'm trying to highlight is there's a bigger thing to be scared of, right? To not say something and to allow the censorship to keep going and to allow our freedoms to be infringed to this degree, and for them to demonize the other and just do all these things. There's a lot more things to be scared of than pissing off a couple friends and standing up for what it is. And again, I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying you should understand that there's fear on both sides, right? Like, it's fear to do it, but there should be a good, healthy fear to not to do it as well. And Yeah. I think that's all I want to talk about. I probably should have, if I was planning this better, I probably should have had kind of a list of things I wanted to talk about. But I just figured, I got to get good at just hopping on this and just freeball and see what comes out of me, see what ends up on the mic. And I'm really excited to maybe get time so that I can do a weekly solo episode with a little bit of things planned. Maybe a producer to actually come with some current events, like I tried that one time, and actually make it stick and do it weekly and work on it and build on it, because that's why it's not getting as better at the rate I want it to, is because it's so inconsistent. I'm doing it once in a while by myself with very little planning when I can fit it in. But if I can make that a weekly thing and attack it, and same with streaming. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it because I've been talking about it, but I've just been so depressed these last months. I just have nothing in me. It's so hard to do my full-time job and the podcast, and even the podcast has just taken such a back seat, which breaks my heart more than I can even explain. It almost brings tears in my eyes to see what it is, because I love it so much and I care about it, but I'm so goddamn overwhelmed with work. Like, I hate it. I'm miserable, absolutely miserable. And it sucks because I love the people. Like, I love some of the people I work with. I love so much, and I love working with my dad and that, but the rest of it it's everything I hate. I talk on this podcast about these systems, right? It's not bad people, it's bad systems. And systems just get to a certain size and they're built to take out certain accountability so that you can go, right? It's a corporate model. A corporation is not evil because they're just playing the game, but the game is set up that you're incentivized to do whatever it is to maximize the money for your shareholders. So if that means cutting all these jobs where it's going to only be a 1% different on the bottom line, but you're going to have to cut 10,000 people. Well, no, like the right thing to do in that sense is to cut those 10,000 people, because it's 1% profit, even though the right thing to do is to lose that 1% profit and keep those people working, right? Like, that is the call, but that's what incentivizes in these systems. And that's a big example, but it's not even that big. Like at work there, like, we're incentivized to make money for Suncor at the end of the day. And I'm incentivized to make money for the owners of the company. And at the end of the day, sometimes that's not the right call. And I don't like that. I don't like being there. That's not how I want to make my money. I come on here week after week for 85 episodes now. I've come and just railed against that and saying, that's not who I am. That's not what I want to do. And yet I go to work every day and I'm forced to do that. And it fucking kills me. I hate it. And I'm just at that point where I gotta do something, and I gotta make a move, and I've got to chase what I want to chase and do that. Right. Like, I don't want to come across as if I don't love the job. It's the systems of what you're forced into that make these things. And there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's like, that's capitalism at its base, and it has given us everything. It's given us the security and the ability to make this technology that's allowing us to do this right now. If you didn't have capitalism, we wouldn't have these mics. We wouldn't have any of this. We wouldn't have these roads. But there's got to be a middle ground, and capitalism in 2021 has got to start looking different than it has, in 1850 and 1900, 1950. We've got to evolve, and I think that's got to be the message. So many people just want to tear shit down, and that's a big message that's gone along with all this COVID stuff. Has been very anti-capitalism. We need to tear capitalism down, and look at every other fucking alternative in the world right now. Look at monarchies, look at communism, look at all those things, and look what it gives you, and then look at capitalism and give it another look. And sure, it's got its problems, sure, it's got its warts, but it's not all that fucking bad. I think you could go for this is why travel is so important. I learned that lesson as a kid, and I'm so thankful that, yeah, Canada's got its warts, yeah, America's got its warts, but it's not all that bad. It's not this fucking giant ball of racism, that institutional racism that is everything it's built upon, right? There are pieces of that in it, but to look at it to the whole of, we need to tear the whole system down because it's racist. No, you need to tear down some systems, but you need to evolve more so. You need to evolve and make them better. You got to take the wheat from the chaff. It's laziness to just say it's all bad and not to look for any of the good, which is so rampant right now, is just to look at the negative and just paint it all with that brush instead of trying to find the good and balance it out and keep the good and change the bad, right? Like, it's a lot more work, but it's so much more effective, and it's so much less blood left in the wake, right? And I feel like that's the message right now that needs to be spread, and just let's evolve, let's love each other, let's listen to each other and get to a better scenario, right? Like, let's try and take the best pieces of the people on the the vaccines are amazing and the only thing anybody should do, they're not dangerous at all. Take the best things that they have, and I think that's love of wanting, people to be safe and that, and then let's take the best of the other side of, I guess the other side of that would be the conspiracy thing. I think there's magnets in it, but hey, you need those guys. You need to keep, that's what keeps these people in check, is those people, not listen to anything they say. You need that side, and then you need people in the middle that evaluate both positions, separate the wheat from the chaff, and try and find a nuanced position on it. But the nuance is the enemy of the state. Nuance is the enemy of everything they've been putting forward. All this restriction, all this authoritarianism. Nuance is the enemy of it, and that's what you need to wield. Take that nuanced sword and swing it with everything you've got. And it's hard, and you have to really be accountable to your words and think strongly, which is what I'm trying to do here. And I know I mess up and I'm not perfect, and I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm trying to get better at it, but at least I'm trying to really show you guys where I'm coming from on this stuff, and that it's painful to be on the other side of it. I don't want to be on there. I would love to just have I didn't do any research and I just went and got vaxxed. I was on the accidentally be on that side of it. And, I wouldn't love that, because I'd be so mad at myself for not doing it and for, falling for the games of what they're doing. But I just, yeah, that's more or less what's going on. And I hope you guys can maybe take something from all of that. I'm now forgetting already what I talked about at the start. Oh, kind of all the mental health stuff. Yeah. And this is the other part I hate talking about, because I don't want people to worry about them, but it's like, no, I know what I want to do, and I know what's causing the depression and all this, and I know what's killing me and tearing me apart. I'm very well aware of it, but that's what kills me too, is to know exactly what it is, and to be saying that maybe it's not as transparently as I've said it on this podcast, but I've been saying all along, people are listening, like, this is what I've been saying, and nobody's listening. And now it's just that, what, I tried to let you guys listen, but now I'm doing it. Get on board, come along with me. But I don't care. I'm not sacrificing myself for other people anymore. That's just, I've done that too long, and it was for good reasons, and I still, appreciate those reasons. I still hold them dear, and I'm still going to do everything I can to, like I say, not tear it down completely, of evolve with it and try and help those people out that need a little piece of me, but can't have, 90%. Hey, you get 10. You get 10. I can offer you 10 right now. Maybe if you let me get my head back on my shoulders, I'll be able to offer you 15, maybe 20 then. But you know what? It's never going to be anything more than 50 ever fucking again. I need to get 50% of my life back. I need to be able to make decisions for myself. I was so frustrated. I was having a discussion with somebody, and at one point they said, you can't be doing this, you're a grown-ass man, because I was depressed and I was angry and I was lashing out, because like I've talked about a million times on this podcast, my anger is something I'm working on, but it's a lot of times when I'm feeling a lot of emotion, which is often when I'm depressed, is if I don't like to let sadness out in public, so it comes out as anger, right? And if everybody's around, at home, it comes out in sadness, and I'm just laying on the floor face down for fucking hours, just hating everything and just feeling numb. But when I'm out in public, it comes out in anger. And they said, you're a grown-ass man, you can't be doing this. And I thought, how am I a grown-ass man? I'm so not a grown-ass man. I've had every decision made for me. Like the job I do, the degree I got, the every single fucking part of my life, except for this podcast, has been done for me and has been told. So how can you say I'm a grown-ass man, right? Like, I'm not, and I'm willing to admit that, but I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to get there. But I just was so struck by that, and it stuck with me for a while. I'm like, no, you're not. And I think that's what's killing me, is just I've been listening, and so much of this, and so much of not wanting to jump off this is just I don't know what my parents are gonna think. I don't know what my family's gonna think. Like, I don't care. I gotta stop caring about that. That's what's causing so much of this heartache, is caring so much about what everybody else thinks, and that's such a cliche. Who cares what everybody else thinks, right? If everybody jumped off a bridge, would you? Like, those are so cliche, but they're cliche for a reason, because they're impactful and they mean something. And yeah, I'm just kind of at the end of my rope with that, and kind of want to just make sure that I'm at least giving everything I can to fight back against that, against those forces that are putting me in that place and putting me in that space where this is where I'm coming out, where the mental health degradation gets me to that point, right? I don't want to be in that spot, and I know all these things that are going into it, and I know what changes I need to make. I've just got to be bold and be brave and make those, because change is scary. I'm so scared to jump in. Like, with everything in me, I want to quit everything. Just say, everyone go fuck yourself. I'm chasing this podcast. Move away. Just, cut everyone out of my life for 6 months and just chase this dream, right? Like, but that also is scary as fuck, right? Like, that is putting everything on your back, and there is a lot of fear there. But at the end of the day, like, I would take that I would take that fear over this feeling of numbness and this depression any day of the week. And that is what's going to push me to that point and get me to do it. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to try one more chance to see if I can check how long this was. If I maybe change the angle, take my sunnies off, make sure there's no cars around me. I'm sure my mom's just going to hate hearing that I did a podcast on the road. Well, look at that, an hour. Fuck yeah, let's go. Perfect. All right, well, I don't know when I'm going to release this. It's Thursday today. We're driving into Vancouver. I think we're getting a hotel. I don't know if I'll have enough time to, I don't know what we're doing tonight. I don't know if I'll have enough time to throw it on the GarageBand and edit it up and get it released for a Friday episode tomorrow, but maybe I'll release it next Friday. Ooh, next Friday's the wedding. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a Wednesday episode. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to release this. Who knows? But if I do, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys get something out of it, like I said. Like always, if you could do me a favor of spreading the podcast somehow, either that's telling a friend, word of mouth, sharing one of the posts, giving me a follow on that. That always goes a long way. The YouTube channel's continuing to get caught up. Once it is, we'll hopefully get some clips going, all that stuff. And that's kind of the things I would love to do on my own time, where I wouldn't have to hire somebody to do it, but it's just not in the cards. But it's going to be in the cards soon. And I just can't wait. So keep on the lookout for that. If you ever want to talk to me about any of these subjects, or if you feel like you don't have anyone in your life where some of these things you'd love to talk about, we can't, reach out to me. I love to have conversations, as you guys might tell. And I think I know the impact of being able to talk to somebody about this stuff and to not feel crazy. I know that feeling. And if I can provide that to anybody, just let me know. I would love to do that for somebody, because people did that for me, and that's what's gotten me to this point. If I didn't have that, I don't think I'd be here today. If I didn't have people in my life where I could do that and where I could have these crazy conversations with you, and even if they don't agree with me, but just to have that space to hold, to be a sounding board, and I would never in a million years mind to do that for somebody else. So yeah. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful week whenever I release this, and a wonderful day. And yeah, all right. Other than that, love you guys. Bye.